On this episode of Africa's Big Switch, we have a conversation with Abiola Adebiyi. Abiola believes Nigeria's progress relies on servant leaders. She focuses on building people and systems for national change. Through social impact leadership, mentorship, and public speaking, she empowers youth as community change agents. At the age of 16, she founded the Elevate Development Foundation to guide youths in slum communities towards economic prosperity. This has reached over 7,000 people by improving education access and tackling unemployment. Abiola is also a forensic accountant and holds a master's in sustainable development from the University of Sussex. She advocates for public policy based on equity and justice to transform Nigeria, especially for the underserved. Join us as we explore Abiola's journey with Elevate Development Foundation. This is Africa's Big Switch. Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Africa's Big Switch. I'll be hosting this podcast episode. My name is Bolaji, and I'll be hosting with Celine. We have a special guest today. She is the founder and president of Elevate Development Foundation, and her name is Abiola Adebiyi. Hi, Abiola. How are you doing?
Hi, Bolaji. Good evening. It's night time here in Nigeria, so I'll take good evening. I'm doing fine, thank you.
Amazing, amazing. Can you tell us a bit about yourself? Who is Abiola?
Okay, who is Abiola? I would say fundamentally, I am a builder. I like finding problems and solving it really. And I think it's usually quite easy for people to put themselves in a box and say, I am an accountant. Yes, I did study accounting and I do a bit of accounting, right? But at my very core, I'm not that. I have skill sets that I can apply to whatever spaces God puts me in per time. And yes, that's how I would introduce myself. But to speak a bit more specifically, I do quite a bit of work in social impact. I would say that is perhaps the first space I realized the potential of the quote unquote anointing that I have, right? I work particularly concerning SDG 4, quality education. And my desire really is to build people that would go on to solve problems in education and a couple of other areas as well, particularly in marginalized communities like Makoko, which is Africa's largest floating slum community. And then also beyond social impact, I also do quite a bit with forensic accounting, which I mean, my specialty really is in tax. So tax consulting, finding the people that, quote unquote, are stealing Nigeria's money. And I recently also just started dabbling my feet into asset management as well. And I am a dropout creative. Yes, a dropout creative. I'm not so committed, but I do hope that in the future I can explore the creative parts of me a bit more.
Wow, you're juggling a lot of balls from Elevate Development Foundation to asset management, forensic accounting, now creative. I think there's a few things I kind of want to explore quickly. I think the first one is why SDG 4? Why education?
Right. My answer to that really is many of the problems that we see exist today are fundamentally people problems. They are existent because number one, either people caused it out of ignorance or just wickedness or perhaps the systematic design of the world as we have it today. Or number two, because many people have not solved it, people have not actually identified solutions for it. And in the case of Africa, let me just use Nigeria particularly, we have a lot of human potential that has not been tapped into. Many of us complain about the fact that fundamentally we have a leadership problem. Well, guess what? The leadership problem is going to be solved by leaders who are people. And so we must build people with the heart for servant leadership to solve these problems. We complain about NEPA as well. I mean, at the moment, I don't have electricity in my house right now. There's no light, and it has been ongoing for four days thereabout now. And it's going to be the right people at the helm of leadership, at the helm of management in Ministry of Power, Ministry of Works that will solve these problems, right? And then we look at other issues concerning corruption. Well, guess what? The people that facilitate corruption are not just in politics, but they're also in banks. So at the core, again, it's about building people with value. And education goes beyond just teaching people what to know. It also teaches people how to know, how to think, right? And the kinds of values to craft out for themselves, the kind of quote unquote national identity that exists and how to morph themselves into that as well. So that's really why I'm very passionate about quality education. It's not just about getting people to go to school, but then the outcome of people going to school. What kinds of human beings do they come out as?
Incredible. That's really inspiring. Building people with value, and education is not just about what to know and what to learn, but it also teaches people about how to think and how to behave. I really like the examples you gave. Thank you for that. I think following on from that is, can you like, how did you set up Elevate Development Foundation? Can you walk us through that journey? Because um, accounting background, finance background, how did this journey start to build this? And what is Elevate Development Foundation?
Okay, so before I answer, I think I'll answer your question chronologically. I'll start with the how, because the what really has been a very progressive journey. It's something that I have discovered as time goes on. And truth be told, even as the years go by, I'm still discovering what Elevate is because it keeps on unraveling itself in layers. And but then how did the journey start? It started 8 years ago now. I was a teenager, and I remember just getting to a point in my life, particularly with my faith journey, where I was starting to experience a shift internally. I was unsatisfied with just living for me alone, unsatisfied with or dissatisfied with doing well in school, making my parents proud. I felt like there was more I could offer to my world, offer to God. And really, that was where I would say a divine passion came into my heart to help people in need. That was the simple instruction: help people in need. And it's peculiar that Elevate started in Makoko because I grew up privileged and I grew up on the island part of Lagos, that's Lagos Island, and I schooled on the mainland. So I remember how that every day my mom would drive us down the third mainland bridge, and on the I think the left hand side of the third mainland bridge on the lagoon, you would literally see houses made of wood on the lagoon. And I just always thought, interesting. I wonder how people there survived. And I felt like one day I would be rich and I would give back to my world with philanthropy. But as at that time when I experienced that mind shift, that divine shift for me, that desire of one day I'll be rich and help people became a present, pressing need and burden on my heart that I needed to start. That one day had to be today, even if I wasn't quote unquote rich yet, right? So I remember coming back on my school break, told my parents, and they said, of course, why not? I went to the community. No one thought it was going to be a charity, I should say. I did not plan to start a charity. I just wanted to solve a problem that was disturbing me. I wanted, like, it was so pressing and so disturbing. I needed to get rid of the urge by going to the community, literally. And so going there, I realized that there were, at least superficially, the problems I could see seemed like there were hunger problems there. And I said, okay, I'm going to gather my friends. We're going to raise money. And that continued for about 2 to 3 years. And again, this is where I start to unfold the layers of what Elevate Development Foundation is. 2, 3 years into that whole journey of always buying food and distributing, I realized we've raised a couple of millions and people are still not transformed. What exactly is going on? Are they not hungry? Then I actually paid attention to the people, to the community, and found that Makoko is designed in such a way where it's a communal based society. It's not individualistic, it's quite collective. And so you'd have someone's here living here in a house with say like 11 people in the house, and then they have an uncle somewhere, a step auntie, step mommy, grandfathers, brothers, child, sister living somewhere. And so if you're living in your house, you're hungry, chances are you know at least 50 people in your community, in your family that you can reach out to and they would feed you for the day. So the core problem, as much as hunger is a problem, and there are people that are in need of, hunger-related solutions, that wasn't a key pressing problem in the community. And so I saw, okay, what else could be the problem? Then I realized, oh my days, this is a community where close to 50% of its people are children, and there are a lot of youths as well. Like you literally find youths everywhere, and a lot of them are involved in criminal activities. I think the problem is the people themselves, like the quote again, quote and unquote, the young people are not exactly engaged in productive work. So we tried to go into that journey of skills acquisition, providing them with the skill sets. But then again, that was in 2018. We found out after spending about 30 days stretch, literally every single day from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m., training them. We also provided business support skills. We provided funding as well and post-program mentorship. Out of about 50 people, only 3 people actually started businesses. And for us, we did not see that as a success because the goal is to see as many people as possible transformed. And so we went back to the drawing board and said, we're doing something wrong. What is that? We spoke with the people and found out that at the core was a value problem. They just did not see the program as valuable enough, or they did not see the potential of what that program could bring to their lives. And so Elevate shifted from that into proper human capital development, not in the way that we see it in a systematic way, but starting from the mindsets. Right? If we're going to have a productive workforce, we're going to need to have people who have a productive mindset at the very core of it. So we're very particular about helping people realize the potential within them and helping them make that a reality in their lives. I think I would stop there for now.
Thanks, Abiola, for sharing that. That's actually, for me, a new thing to learn about the program that you deployed. And I'm curious about that program. How was it designed? Who ran it? And how was it run? And I'm asking this question because I think one thing that's interesting about Elevate is human capital development is both ways in terms of, let me put it like this. You're one of the leaders who you're doing exactly what you say you're doing, not just with your target audience, that is the Makoko community, but with the people who work with you. And I say that because I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, that Elevate is a fully volunteer-based NGO, or development foundation, which means nobody's on a salary. And that I think is an interesting thing. And so I'm curious how you run a program with a fully volunteer-based organization.
Okay, thank you so much. So up until this year, we were fully volunteer-based, but we recently started taking in volunteers, people who have volunteered with us but want to serve with us, right? So we do give them a stipend. Just wanted to clarify that. So you've asked how was the project designed, and then also, if you can correct me if I'm wrong, us being a volunteer-based organization, how that works, right?
Yes, precisely.
Okay, so that particular project where we shifted to developing the potential of people, at least helping them realize that it was designed by the people themselves. Really, we realized that if you're going to create impact, your solutions must be driven by the community. So we're very big on it, and taking on a participatory approach. So we went there, we asked them, why do you think this program did not work, the skills acquisition? And in the most sincere and honest way possible, they said more or less, taking all their responses, it was a case of they just didn't care about it as much. So it looks like giving people skills trainings actually help, but that's not their primary need. What they needed was encouragement, as superficial and vague as that sounded. But really think about it. Whenever you hear words, encouraging words from the people that you care about the most, just think about how much strength it provides you and intrinsic motivation it gives you to get things done, right? So that's what we did. And we said, okay, you know what, we're going to bring people from your community and people from community like yours who have built something for themselves. And we had like a 5 days program where for 5 hours each day, these people came into the community and spoke with them. So we ran the conference in the community. We did as much as we could. There was a projector, there was food, it was like a proper conference, but then in Makoko. And by the end of those 5 days, we had people saying that they wanted to go to university. One of them currently is a project manager at Enactus in Taswed, that's Taisolari University. We had people saying that they wanted to start their own quote and unquote non-profit organization. But I mean, in this case, it was an association. And that led to the birth of Makoko Students Association, who eventually became partners with us for our projects. I remember during COVID, they fed about 100 families. These are people from Makoko doing this. At the moment, they started a football club for children in their community to engage them. It's an indirect way of mentoring them. Again, youth in Makoko doing this by themselves, and all we do is provide guidance. So I guess that would answer the question you asked as to how the project was designed. Now, onto your second question about us being primarily volunteer based. I personally believe there's a framework we use. Let me put it this way: we use in Elevate. We use it to identify people that have a heart commitment to the work that we do. We don't just get volunteers that just feel like, oh, these people I need, let me help. I have the solution, because that's a prideful approach to social impact. If anything, we want people that have a heart for service, of saying, I think I should serve these people. They might not be able to pay me back, but I have something to give and I have something to learn as well. And so we're very particular about values. That's the first thing we look out for in anybody that is going to join our team. Do your values align with Elevate? Do you have a heart for service, a heart of commitment? Is love your guiding principle? Is honesty key for you? Are you an integral person? Right? And then we look for vision as well. Do you really see what we're trying to achieve? We might not look like, I think a lot of the work that we do looks somewhat vague, right? When you think about someone saying they want to help to develop human potential, but really it's what transforms people. We're not trying to just create nice projects. And sometimes the best and greatest solutions are intangible. That's the honest truth, right? We're trying to transform people and empower them in such a way where they can build their lives. We're not trying to do the building for them and take the credit and say, elevate this. No, we're trying to empower people, help them grow in self-leadership so that they can transform their lives and build what they want to see, take their families out of poverty. We have some of our beneficiaries that have gone on to actually start schools within their communities, free schools. And we literally just taught them how to secure funding. We taught them how to check for partnership. Some of them write us partnership letters. It's that intense, and they're doing so well. And yes, that's pretty much what we do. Volunteer wise, we have been lucky, honestly, to have such a passionate team of people that we don't have to force to do the work. They see the vision clearly, and they literally are the ones that are rallying around it and pushing it and helping us to achieve what that you see us achieve today.
Thank you so much, Abiola. If you were calling for volunteers now, I'd probably like sign up because of how passionately you've spoken about it.
Incredible. It's incredible. Yeah. I was gonna say, so I really, really, really like what you said about when you give people love, you give them a dream, you give them something to live for. And oftentimes, when you give them something to live for that's beyond themselves, it transforms the way they think and the way they see their own lives. And it's this whole thing about love is about giving, and giving is about living. Like when you give, you live. That's when you're alive. And I think it's so powerful, and I do not underestimate it. So when you said, some people might be like, it seems very trivial, this human capital thing. No, I actually see the value of this, and it's incredible. So honestly, well done. um, First of all, and I think a question I have on top of that is, you've mentioned a few like great examples. People that are now in university, maybe they didn't even have like studying project management or wanting to become a project manager. Maybe they had no access or maybe no idea what project manager was before maybe your foundation came in. But I guess my question now is, what are some of the challenges that you faced running this? Because I can imagine how, I
Yeah.
guess, difficult it must have been. And how have you overcome these challenges, or if you have overcome them yet?
Okay. Okay, awesome. Thank you so much for your question. So, right, challenges. All right. So I think I'll start with this. The donor culture in Nigeria is quite interesting, such that people are willing to give to projects that have short-term uh outputs. Let me not say outcomes, short-term outputs. You can, if someone says it's Christmas and we want to feed 2,000 people, you want to give to it because you know that, oh, they're going to post pictures and it's going to satisfy that desire in your heart where you're like, wow, I put a plate of jollof rice in a child's hand. But then when you say we want to, we are seeking your donations to fund a 3 month digital training for this community. And after the 3 months, they're going to be paired with an organization and get to intern for another 3 months. And then the best of the best would actually receive laptops and be connected with an industry professional, which is actually what we're doing at the moment, right? When you say that, Nigerians don't really, they're like, oh, well done, but they don't drop their money. That's something we've really struggled
Wow.
with. And it's been a struggle for us because we are very particular about development by the people for the people. We are
Mhm.
very community oriented, and we dare to dream that we can actually support all that we do by crowdfunding, right? And other innovative ways. And we do have innovative solutions that we're currently building out to not just help us as an organization, but then to make development by the people for the people a reality for other charities in the ecosystem as well, right? But that's by the way. We are not grant funded. Not one single naira of all we've done in the past 8 years has been funded by grants, right? But a total of number of people that we've reached so far is nearing 7,300. Of that amount, 7,000 were people that we fed in the first 3-4 years of when we started, and we were only running feeding programs, and we raised millions for that. But then, since we pivoted from that in 2019 till date, we've only been able to reach 295 people, including children as
Wow.
well, with long-term projects, right? And that has been fully crowdfunded. I mean, projects that we've run include sending people to school. We have quite a number of people across Nigeria that are being supported, but then our funding for school support actually is one where we only pay your first year tuition, your first year accommodation, then we set you up with a small business and you're required to support yourself for the rest of the time. And even if you do need interventions from us, you have to prove that you've saved from your business because again, values, we're trying to raise people that are not dependent on us because to get to a point where we have to cut off the support and support others and we don't want their growth to be cut off because of that, right? So we have people we've sent to school, we have people on apprenticeship programs, we have a program called Level Up Makoko for children. We take extracurricular activities to makeshift schools in Makoko. We have the digital transformation program that's running at the moment, but it has been a stretch trying to raise money, right? So that's one thing. The second thing I would say as well is perhaps people, and this is one that we've been able to solve so well. When I think in the lifetime of our work, we've probably had to do a cleanup of our team about 3 times. And by cleanup, I mean it was only me and my co-president left in the team. We had to have hard conversations with volunteers and say, this is where we're trying to go. Is this a journey you're willing to embark on or not? And most often than not, they say no. And that's fine. Many of them are still our supporters till today, consistent donors till today, but they're just not in our core team. And so we had to learn the hard way that you don't build an organization because a charity is not just a passion project, it's an organization. You don't just build it with passion and with nice people. You build it with people that share the same values with people that are available, people that see the vision as well. And sometimes that means making hard decisions like letting go of some volunteers. So we have a very strict volunteer application process. And that's how it has really helped us to not just sustain the team that we have, but consistently have a repeat. We have volunteers that choose to repeat their volunteering. Like I think about 80% of our volunteers choose to volunteer after the first 1 year, which for us is a success. Then maybe last thing I would say as well is partnerships, right? We have had quite a number of conversations with organizations, for-profits, private sector organizations, and then we get to the CISO level, speak with the CFO, the person in charge of CSR, and it's time for them to, drop the funding for the project, and they say, oh, you have to raise 70% of the money before we commit 30%, right? And for a charity that, again, is more or less like we're raising money by crowdfunding, it's very, very disappointing sometimes to say that partnerships are not so easy. It takes quite a bit of time to find organizations that are not just in need for the marketing, and not just the need for, oh, this is the charity that is in vogue now, let's put our money in. Oh, this charity is not big enough. Oh, they don't have a K at the end of their number of followers online. It's a bit difficult to find charities that don't organizations that don't think like that. But we're pushing, right? Resilience is the way the game is played, really. If you're going to last long, you have to push even in times where you have to abase and you're not really abounding. But yeah.
Wow. Well done. Celine, were you going to say something?
I've had a lot of things that are very surprising but shouldn't be on the partnership end. But also just there was something you said, sometimes the best and most effective solutions are intangible, and I just thought that was worth mentioning. But I think your challenges they're typical for running an organization like yours, and the approach that you're taking is very counter the social impact space, unfortunately. Numbers, short-term projects, like you said, get most of the funding. So I completely understand. Um, and I do apologize for the way the world is shaped, to be honest. I think it's quite wild.
No, I mean,
Yeah, go ahead.
we're not victims, right? It's just how the world is, and so you just innovate around the constraints that's around you. It just might take a bit longer than succumbing to what is expected. Yeah.
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 I so we interviewed Haig. Maybe I think I just butchered her name, but she was a UK GM, or she is a UK GM. I don't know if she's still at the role at Ripple Africa, another charity organization, and she was very pro charity should be run like businesses, and I think that's the same mindset that you're kind of using to run your charity organization. You know,
Yeah.
adding discipline, having like clear metrics. Not just 7,000 people have been impacted and fed. Okay, tick box, because her points really, and for anyone listening, this is episode 14 on ABS, across any streaming platform. But her points really is that, first of all, because of how funding is important. So when your donors give you funding, they expect a specific goal. So charity organizations tend to switch and sway towards the goal of their investors,
Exactly.
which can be distracting, but also in terms of success, like you can measure success based on, well, at least I fed one person, that's a successful year, or I fed 7,000 people, that's a successful year. But when you run it as a business, then you can kind of look back, and which is what you've done, say, well, not everyone that we train, not all the 50 people, only two of them started their own business. Not everyone kind of started their own business. Then something is wrong, right? Most charity organizations will be like, well, job done. We don't care what you do after. Like, we'll post
Yeah.
on social media, and like that's self-praise. So really interesting. And I think is really cool that you kind of pushing still in this direction despite the challenges. Um, my question on top of that is, what do you see the future of Elevate Development Foundation to look like? Where do you see this going?
Thank you so much for that. Whenever we take in new volunteers, there's a flow, there's a process flow for their orientation. And in one of the videos that they have to watch, it's called the Elevate Agenda. And we answer a couple of questions in that video. One of them is, why Makoko? The second one is, do you have an agenda beyond Makoko? Do you have a national agenda? And the third one is, how are you going to achieve it? And to answer these three questions beyond just the video, we made a 30-page strategy document about it, because we do have a vision beyond Makoko. Now, our goal as an organization really is not to just say, like I said, Elevate did this. No, we're trying to, first and foremost, create solutions that work. And really and truly, this has been the reason why we've been in Makoko for so long. And I love that you mentioned, taking a business perspective to charity work as well, because it's something that we do. And we usually say, if a startup launches, right, yes, you might see all the fanfare online, but in their office, number one, they have a very small team. Number two, they are trying so hard to find that product market fit. They are always deploying new solutions. Okay, this feature doesn't work. Okay, change this. Okay, change that. Okay, let's ask our users how this works and all of that. And they're using that to improve their solution, so that by the time they scale it, the solutions actually work and they're getting the maximal return from it. It's the same thing for us. We choose to see Makoko like a microcosm of Nigeria, such that many of the wicked problems that are in Nigeria can be found there at some level. And we see that if we can solve them, and by the way, these are people problems, these are not, these are not problems for profit, these are problems for transforming people's lives. Sometimes the solutions you create can either take a generation out of poverty or plunge them deeper. And so it's a thing of make sure that our models, our project models actually solve the problems. And if we've ascertained that, yes, this aspect of education has been figured out by us, we'll take these solutions, share it with other charities that have like-minded with us. We have a community for that actually, that we're currently building at, and share it with them, because it's not one person take your golden trophy. We're trying to change Nigeria for the good and deploy this across all 744 local governments. That's our goal. And then, so that's one. Second thing is we also want to get into public policy. The way to scale impact is not by raising more grants, it's by getting into government. Case closed. Right? That's like the biggest machinery for social impact. And so we are very keen on getting into public policy, actually having think tanks, being able to be so big that we can push these policies in ways that matter. And it's one of the reasons why we're also very keen on development by the people for the people. I guess you can say we're trying to build a movement of some sort. It's still in its early stages. It's not about the fact that we've been here for 7-8 years. It's still very much in its early stages. We're still in our sunrise season, and we will get there. We would absolutely get there.
That's incredible. Look, yeah, you will. You can just tell the passion that you have, and I pray that you guys actually surpass that ceiling.
Amen.
Someone listening to this podcast episode right now might be like, look, I want to partake in this. And I think one thing for sure is, feel free to, after this call, you can share your link, and the link will be available on, any streaming platform where you can click the link and donate. So that's one way like ABS can help, because I'm also thinking about not just sharing your story, but how can I help propel this forward? And the question is now flipped to you. How do you
Yeah.
think people can partake and help elevate on its journey? Like some of our listeners.
Okay. Couple of ways. First is volunteering, and we have extremely dynamic volunteering teams. So if you're volunteering with Elevate, you're not just coming for projects alone. You are literally, I think, so one way we tend to describe volunteering at Elevate is a playing ground. Come with your creative ideas. You work in project management, no problem, come. You work in tech, no problem, come. You work in the medical field, no problem, come. Bring all that you have and literally just pour it into this pool of trying to change the world, and let's develop something new. We have project innovation teams, people developing social tech within Elevate. We have project design people that are constantly looking at how to design projects that create impact, measure impact, monitor and evaluation. We have media teams as well. We have people that go on that are currently planning like groundbreaking projects, basically. Even with our media team as well, we have creative programs that we have on coming on board, like Humans of Makoko and whatnot. So if you are creative, if you truly want to change the world, you truly want to make Nigeria better, no matter where you are, by the way, because we have a lot of people in diaspora, our team is open for you. So you can volunteer by going to elevateng.org/volunteer. elevateng.org/volunteer. And then second way as well is to become a committed giver to the work that we do. So if you go to elevateng.com, not com rather. So if you go to elevateng.org/donate, you would find all our platforms to donate. If you're in the diaspora, there is a PayPal link as well for you to do that. We have a Nigerian account there. And yeah, follow us as well. We are Elevate NG everywhere, on LinkedIn, on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook, Elevate NG. Thank you.
Fantastic. And of course, like while the episode comes out, we'll tag Elevate. And if you're following us on Instagram, you'd be able to see and also follow them and contribute. But yeah, that's incredible. I like the fact that people abroad can also join in, because a lot of us speakers are actually in the diaspora and they want to find out how they can help and contribute to Africa's development. So that's fantastic. One more question, and there's a question we used to close the episode.
Okay.
And it is, if you were to travel anywhere in Africa on an all expense paid trip, where would you go and why?
Can I say Omo? Because that's a good question. Okay, this is not a deep answer in any way. Forgive me.
It doesn't have to be.
Probably,
It doesn't have to be.
Yeah, probably somewhere in North Africa, because I love their food. I love Middle Eastern food, actually. So yeah, I think I would probably Morocco, Egypt, somewhere around there. Yeah.
Wow. What food do you like?
I love Middle Eastern food. I do not know the names, actually.
Okay.
I just know that I love their grills and everything. I think there was one I took once that had Greek yogurt on it as well, with lamb and then croutons inside. And it was interesting. It was an interesting mix. I love their food.
I agree. The meat is always nice. Maybe it's because it's halal. Maybe it's just, I don't know. There's something about it. It's great. I agree.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, that kind of brings us to the end of the episode. Thank you so much for your time. This has been such an interesting conversation, and I'm sure that I hope that some of our listeners would be inspired by the work you guys do at Elevate, and also like contribute to propelling that work forward. I myself would try to donate whatever change I have, but I also just check out the website and see how else I can help. But honestly, thank you so much for your time and for sharing your story.
Thank you so much for having me.